I'm Catherine Ross, and I'm here live from the NYSE with ActionAlertsPLUS Senior Portfolio Manager Jeff Marks. Jeff, we got to start by talking about trade. Now, there's been a lot of flip-flopping from Trump, and now we've got some pressure from Xi. Now, as a reminder to everyone, these two, Trump and Xi, are supposed to sit down on the sidelines of the G20 summit, which starts today on Saturday. So, will Trump be willing to negotiate?
I think he will be willing to negotiate. At the end of the day, I do believe that both sides do want to make some type of a deal. However, now we're hearing reports that Xi is coming out with a list of sort of these, predefined conditions that he's going to want the U.S. to agree upon before they really start kicking off talks. And I just don't know if the president's going to do that. Remember, just a couple months ago, it looked like we were very close to a deal, and then China backed away off of a few key terms. And the president didn't like that one bit, and that's when we got the tariffs put on in place, the additional tariffs put in place. So, I think Trump is willing to negotiate. But again, there's just a lot of back and forth right now. Now they're putting Huawei in the mix. China wants the Huawei ban to get lifted off. The U.S. has said Huawei is not part of the trade deal; it's separate. But now now there might be talks that they're saying that they could add it in as part of like a package deal. So it's going to be a pretty big weekend. A lot of news is going to come out.
And we've got news coming out after the bell today. We've got Nike reporting earnings, and they also they're facing a lot of pressure from China too, from all the tariffs. So, in the face of all of Nike's earnings, what should we expect to hear from them on China?
Yeah, so I think what you need to remember about Nike is that they're an international brand. They're huge. They're all over the place. So even though part of their supply chain is going to be in China, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Chinese goods are going to have to be imported from the U.S. And I think that's kind of what has helped them mitigate the tariffs so far, because say, they could have production out in Vietnam and that gets imported to the U.S., but all the Chinese supply chain, that part of their supply chain, that can get distributed all across the rest of the rest of the world. So I think they've been doing a pretty good job mitigating. On the demand side, China is obviously a big factor there, a huge part of the business. But I think all in all, everything from what I've seen, it sounds like Nike demand for Nike's going well. There's sort of like a secondary derivative to Nike, which is this StockX platform, which is like this online. It's almost like it's like an eBay just for like shoes, sort of, but it's more of like it tracks like a stock market. Like there's price fluctuation. I've used it before. It's pretty cool. It was a great experience.
Okay, so let's talk about that. You used it before. You liked the experience. What did you buy?
Yeah, so this is going to sound a little nerdy, but I bought Game of Thrones Ultra Boost from Adidas, so not Nike, but I think still it kind of goes into the they were sold out in stores. I really wanted the pair of shoes, so I went to StockX and brought a brand new pair. It was a great experience. But yeah, I think that's that's a private company. But I think that kind of goes to show you like the demand for the sneakerheads out there is still pretty strong.
For sure. I mean, StockX just hit unicorn status, so who knows what we can expect from that company. Okay, so we also have to talk about our real money stock of the day, which is Boeing. Now, Boeing is getting a little bit more pressure from the FAA, which says that the 737 MAX jet has a little bit more problems than they thought. So looking at Boeing right now, what should investors be thinking? Should they wait and see a 737 MAX in the air before they invest in Boeing? Yeah,
so I think Boeing is a pretty tough call. And if you look at back where the stock fell to after the back in March off that the pullback related to the crash, the stock hasn't done anything since then. And if you look at what some other industrials have had, the one we have for ActionAlertsPLUS is Honeywell. Honeywell is near its all-time high. So when I see Boeing, I just don't think. I don't think you need to rush in. I know it's a great company and the backlog is huge. It's a duopoly and that always seems to play well. We got a bell
Sounds like we got a bell ringer back here.
But it's exciting. But I would say if you're not in Boeing yet, I don't see a reason why you need to rush in. It seems like this 737 problem is still going to keep going. That's going to cap its gains. As we've seen, the stock just hasn't really done much. So I think there's better industrials to play. I mentioned Honeywell before. We have that for ActionAlertsPLUS. We added another industrial to our bullpen, which is like our stocks and waiting list. We added that last week. I'm interested in buying that. We'll see what happens with G20 first, but I just think there might be some better industrials out there to play.
And guys, if you're wondering what that bell ringing was about, Churchill Capital just opened for trading at $10.20. We'll see how they trade throughout the day. Okay, Jeff.
Live breaking news.
There we go. Yeah, always exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
And of course, if you want to read more about Boeing, head over to ourrealmoney.com, where it is our stock of the day, which means that we're going to have wall-to-wall coverage. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. I'm Catherine Ross, and we'll see you tomorrow.